All good.
All right, Kian McCarton, thank you very much for coming in today.
No bother. Thanks for having me, lads. I really appreciate it.
No, you're more than welcome. Clondalkin's rising star.
Yeah, I'm one off. There's plenty of us in Clondalkin rising.
It's a good crop coming through now.
Yeah. Even lads younger than me, so I have to up my game a little bit.
Keep it on your toes.
Exactly.
How are you getting on today? Done double session today?
Good, yeah, double session every day. Monday to Saturday, double session, and then Sunday off. Sunday is God's day. Yeah. So double session today, kickboxing this morning on a Wednesday, and sprints then this evening, which is never good in the moment, but always good after.
I was going to ask which one's more difficult. I'm guessing it's the sprints.
They are definitely the sprints, man. Definitely the sprints. The coaches and the lads have me doing. They're not good, bro.
Is that do you only do them coming up to a fight, or would that be year round? You'd stay on top.
I try to stay on top of them as much as I can. Now I'm not gonna lie and say I do them. I do them twice a week, every week when I'm down with a fight. But I try to do them once every 2 weeks if I don't have a fight, because they keep the gas tank rolling. You feel the big benefit and big difference in training when you do them. Yeah.
Say they take you to some dark places as well doing them sprints.
Yeah, I think so. It's a minute on, minute off, full incline sprints at 8 miles an hour is what I do. And I'd say after the third one, it's all heart, dark thoughts, all heart.
Man, to taste the metal
screaming
in the back of your mouth,
gym, and everyone looking at a real commercial gym, and everyone staring at you like you're a weirdo. But it's what it is.
On the chest,
yeah.
So I don't know if you watched our last podcast episode with Kenny.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to do for this episode or this season is each guest will ask a question at the end of an episode, and we'll start the next episode with that question.
Yeah.
So Adam's going to ask you Kenny's question, and you're going to think of a good
Kenneth Deegan left a question for you that you can answer, Keen. And the question was, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
Jesus, that's a big question from a big name there, lads. Where do I see myself in 5 years? Hopefully,
what age are you now at the moment?
22.
Right, so when you're 27.
27. Hopefully still getting after it day in, day out, healthy and happy. And either still climbing the ranks in a professional organisation, or on top of the ranks in a professional organisation or close to it. Mm-hmm. Whether that be at the time, say, a local organisation or a big name organisation like PFL, Bellator, UFC, One Championship, I'm good wherever. I just want to be the best wherever I am. And I think everyone's goal in MMA is similar. They want to get to the top, and at the top, currently the top right now is UFC.
Yeah.
So if UFC still is top in 5 years, I want to be there, and I want to not only just be there, I want to be the best there.
Yeah.
But long hold, I don't know where I'll be. Please God, on top somewhere, still thriving, still grinding every single day, and looking to make a better life for myself. Yeah.
Good stuff. I think even if you look back 5 years ago, you know, when you were 17 at that stage and said, we will be in 5 years' time, I think the progress you've made from then up until now, like, repeat that for the next 5 years, compound on and let everything grow. And the world's your oyster, as they say.
Definitely. So the goal anyway from 5 years from now is to be at the top of whatever organisation is the best one.
Yeah.
Has being like a top level professional MMA fighter been your goal for a long time now, or when did that kind of come in?
Not even, like, I'm not gonna lie and say, growing up all I wanted to do was fight. I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I was growing up. I was never the best at anything. I was never the fittest, I was never the strongest, never the tallest, but I was always that one cunt that was there grinding away in your ear, and I was never gonna quit. Like, I played Gaelic, wasn't the best at it, played at a decent level, was never the standout on the team. I boxed, was never the best at it, had a few wins, had a few fights, but I was always there. And then it was like when I found SBG, obviously the rise of Conor helped. But when I found SBG, I knew I had something. Yeah. I knew I had my finger on something, and I knew this is it. Stick to it. Yeah. I have that real thing in my head. I call it stick to itness. Yeah. If I want something, like, I'm getting it.
Stubborn.
No matter how long. Yeah, stubborn, exactly. No matter how long it's gonna take, I'm getting it. And I think that's all it's been. Just grinding. Yeah. And now, hopefully, getting to the best 6 weeks time. Now I can then labelly say I'm the best amateur fighter at my weight in the world, and then go from there.
Currently the best in Europe, aren't you?
Currently, the best European in Europe. Yeah, there was no Europeans this year, so I take that as a 2 year running, 2 year champ. Yeah, so you can all shush. But won the Europeans. Was happy with that. There was a few ifs, ands and buts when I won it, because the Russians weren't allowed to compete, so there'll always be people that say you never beat a Russian or never beat this, but is what
you
it
beat
is,
what was in front of you. That's all you can do, isn't it?
My dad has a famous quote, and it's like, smash everyone that's in front of you, and whoever it is, you're doing it. Like, so.
No, I like it. What else do you say? You can only wipe the arse you have.
Exactly, and you can only fight the man that's put in front of you. So that's what it is. I beat the man that was put in front of me. If there had been 10 men put in front of me that week, I feel I would have smashed them on the same day. Like, I went into that. I think that's the best I've ever felt for a fight. Fight week, fight build up. And that's the first time I've ever fought a strawweight. So all the other fights I fought a flyweight, which isn't really my weight. I walk around that flyweight. I just fight to get the fights. Yeah. I'm never gonna sit on the sidelines and bitch and moan about weight and say, it's not for me, 2 kilos, this and that. But when I went to strawweight at the Europeans that time, I really felt I was head and shoulders above anyone they put in front of me. I was bigger, I was stronger, even though I wasn't taller than the fella, which I don't think I'll ever be taller.
Oh man, you're in good company here.
I don't think I'll ever be taller. It's sickening. I was going to strawweight being like, I'll be bleeding taller than this fella. No, I'm not tall.
Just for anyone who isn't MMA fans or whatever else, tell us for flyweight and strawweight, what are the...
so flyweight weigh-in day is 56.6, I'm nearly sure to be exact.
kg,
and strawweight is 52.2.
Okay,
so there's a good bit of a difference. There's a good bit of a difference.
So that'd be like 125, 125?
125 is flyweight and 115 is strawweight.
Okay.
So... But it's same day weigh-ins. You don't get 24 hours to rehydrate.
Okay, so same day.
Which makes the big difference for a lot of people.
Imagine the UFC if that was the...
So. You have to get your weight down gradually. So luckily I was out in Thailand before that and for that training camp and got my weight down gradually. The heat, the climate, everything helped. And made the weight not a bother. Done a little sweat the night before and smashed them. I felt like I was grappling a child nearly when we were moving about. It just felt too big and too. Is that I knew everything was coming.
There's a picture on Instagram where you have him in like an armbar or something. You're sticking your tongue out.
That's me. That was in the middle of the second round, and it was not like I always know in a fight like it's not over until it's over. It's not over until my hands raised. Like even after the fight, I was saying to the announcer, saying to Ricky, I was like, say my name, Ricky, like. But it's not over until then. But in that moment, it's like it nearly clicked with me. It was like, it's my time. I've lost at the highest level. I've lost at the lowest level. It's my time now, and no one's taking this away. Like, and I felt them quitting underneath me, like, which was good to feel. But then again, right after that, it was like, it's done now. That's it.
On to the next one.
Don't get complacent there.
Not at all.
The reason really came we wanted to chat to you today was we had Kenneth Egan on last week, obviously, who has... Kenneth's not finished, like he still has stuff he's working towards, but he's had a goal, achieved it, the Olympics, and then everything came off the back of that. For you, you're on the opposite end of that spectrum. You're on the come up, let's say, and working towards a big goal and big dream, which we really want to hear about and talk about. But before we get to the fun stuff, I always like to see, like, especially for fighters, because when I was a kid, and I'm sure Lee is in the same book, I would have done anything to avoid someone punching me in the face. You voluntarily put yourself in the environment.
Looking for fights.
So what was it early on, do you think, that got you interested in boxing initially? It was?
I actually come from, there's two things that come from my dad's side of the family, I feel like, and it's fighters and soldiers.
Okay.
And that was my first initial dream as a kid. I always wanted to be a soldier. And just as I grew up, and in my teen years, it ended up changing because I found fighting. But again, with wanting to be a soldier, my dad was a boxer, my uncle was a boxer. I knew people in and out of a boxing club, and that's where I started. My dad put me straight into boxing when I was young, as soon as my ma would let him. My ma's terrified to let him, her little prince of a son going to get the head punched off.
Are you the only son?
Yeah, only son.
Yeah, precious.
I have an older sister, but I'm the
baby.
I'm the baby of the family, so everyone wants to look after me, I feel. But my dad put me into his old boxing club in Sacred Heart, same coaches, same gym, same little... it was under a stage in Killinarden Community Centre where I first joined, and it was like a little small room, no bigger than this, few bags, and the ring was a rope across the yoke. Same thing like Kenneth said. A rough and ready gym with a load of people in it that'll punch you up and down the road all day long. And I went in like the little soft chubby kid from Clondalkin, not from Tallaght, knew no one, got battered, and I loved it. I remember coming out my first session and I had a little bit of a bloody nose, and my dad collected me. He's like, well, and I was like, that's it, man. That's great. Like, great buzz, great feeling. And then I just built on it. As I said, I was never the best boxer, but I had that. I stuck to it, and I stuck to it as long as I wanted to stick to it. And then the gym moved just up the road, in better facility where they still are now. And yeah, I can't thank the coaches enough. I think that's, if it wasn't for them showing me the basics in boxing, the basics of life, I don't know. I couldn't sit here and tell you I could be a fighter there now today. And they've brought up many European World Champions, Irish athletes, like everyone on the panel in Sacred Heart, and small gym and talent, and they're still striving, still going now today. And I haven't been up now in a few years, but I see the coaches every now and then. And I was talking to them at the last club. They do like a yearly club fight to raise funds. And I was talking to Staffy, the original coach. Him and Tommy were the original, and I was talking to them at that, and he was saying like, it's mad the route I've taken. From little old small Sacred Heart to now like big time SPG, so to say, and MMA fighter. But it's good, so that's maybe where the love of fighting came from. And I was always a rough and rowdy kid, like never the best in school, and I was always good at one thing, and that was brawling and fighting. So maybe that's why.
Like you're either going to be dodging bullets or dodging punches. So.
Yeah, exactly. Thank fuck it wasn't bullets anyway.
Definitely. And then you mentioned there that you kind of moved into MMA around the time of Conor McGregor coming up. What age were you around then when you started? I think I joined. I was only asking the lads at the desk in SVG to look back on when my first thing came in, because I was curious for myself. Me and my dad were having a conversation about it. I think I was 12. I was then 13, maybe a few months later. Started off with the one class a week, I think it was, and then moved. It's like different programs as you grow, and 2 and 3. And then I remember like I was thinking about ways to get out of school to go to it, and calling in sick, and it was always a way of going around it. But so I would have been 13. I think Conor was on his rise, and I remember being in the gym for the Aldo fight. And I remember being in the gym for the Mendes fight, and seeing him was mesmerising, like, and the cameras and the everything. Like, now, when I still see him today, it's like, whoa. You get a little bit of a, like, kind of like, shit, that's crazy the way that who he is. But back then, it was like, whoa. Like, I go home and tell everyone about it. It was the best thing in the world. So, I think I was about 12 or 13 when I first started in SPG on the Long Mile Road. And now moved to the new spot, Is there any, like, stand out, like when you think of that time in your life, is that like a certain McGregor fight that comes to mind of like what made you think, okay, I want to do MMA now?
I think it was just like, I feel like I can relate to him, like
his personality more than
his personality. Like I think a lot of young fellas grown up as well in like rough areas, whatever, can relate to him as well. Like just a rough and rowdy kid and found fighting, and now who doesn't want to make $1 million, and who doesn't want to be the face of the world? Like, we'd all be lying if we say we didn't want it. It's just, it's not as easy as it says on the postcard, you know. You have to put the graft in and everything comes alongside it. But that's what got me in the door, and then I fell in love with it. And I'm still in love with it today, so can't complain. Like, hopefully go on for much longer, and I'm the next face of the world. And then it'll be, when it's my turn, I'll be ready to step up and go from there, I look forward to it.
When, as an amateur, right, so that's where you're at now, you're in the amateur ranks. It's an interesting thing I noticed with, maybe not every fighter, but a lot of fighters, is even though he's an amateur now and like on that path moving towards things, you can feel like a confidence or a real belief, let's say, that like I'm gonna go, even though like I'm not even in the pro ranks yet. It's like I'm looking ahead to like 5-10 years from now, we're on the top dog in the UFC or whatever sort of organizations, top of that time. For that belief, where does that come from, do you think, for fighters in general, but for you as well?
Like I feel like a lot of people say it, but not a lot of people mean it. Like, to mean it, I think you need to be in there every day grinding, and that's what's really going to get you that feeling of, not only do I know and trust in my coaches, trust in the people around me, trust in my circle, and do everything right. Not only do I know that I believe in them, but I believe in myself. I'm the one that wakes up every day and decides to go and fight someone who's already at top of their game and spar them and try go for it. And I'm the one that my body's sore today, but I still go and do a sprint session. I'm the one that do it, and maybe that's the belief. I've never really pinpointed my finger on it, but I've always just known that I'm willing to put the work in, so I know it's always going to come out good in the end once I do everything right and I trust the people and stay on track.
Yeah.
I think that would be it. Yeah.
It's interesting because it's like the belief. You could have one argument that's like, oh, you know, the law of attraction, manifestation, like say affirmations, like look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm gonna be the best. It's bollocks. It doesn't work like that, you know. It's like your belief comes from the fact that, you know, day in, day out, you're getting into the gym and busting your bollocks, doing everything. You know, you've got a good environment of people around you. You know, you're putting yourself in the best positions to be challenged, and sometimes you might, you know, fuck up and fail and lose a fight here or there, but you're doing all the, let's say, hard things right now that will make the path easy when you eventually get into the cage and there's, you know, bigger opponents, bigger crowds, bigger arenas, all that stuff. So that belief, it seems, comes from getting in, day out, and being willing to put yourself in uncomfortable positions so that you can then grow and learn as a result of that.
Yeah. And I think, like, even about winning, like, I feel like the amateur game, it's not about winning and losing, but I've learned 10 times more from a loss than I have a win. Because I've always had that in the back of my mind when I win, like, yep, that's it. There's another person out there grinding away in the dark that wants to beat me and wants to take what I have. Like, whether that be like in the moment a fight, whether it be in the small little community centre or on the biggest stage in the world that I can at amateur, it's still that same feeling, still that same buzz. You feel on top of the world for a half an hour, and then for me, after that half an hour, it's just like, boom, back to it. Let's go. There's work to be done. Like, there's always more to be done. There's always someone behind you, or there's always someone in the queue, in the line, waiting to take what I have. He wants to get that win back off me, that fella I just beat. So I better go back to the gym and I better grind. I'm not getting any money for this. I can't sit around and I can't congratulate myself and clap my hands. Like, that's not going to do nothing. That's not going to get me to the top. That's not going to get me all these, not only just the fame, but I want to be the best. I want to sit on a couch somewhere one day, peacefully sit down, probably with a cup of tea in my hand, and say, currently, right now, I'm the best in the world. And then it's gonna turn into, I don't want to be the best for one day. I want to be the best forever. So there's always something in your mind going and going and going. So I think that's what that would be. Just the right mindset and never wanting to stop, never wanting to quit, and being resilient and in fighting, training, life, everything.
Yeah, it's a good answer. I think it's Alex Hamosi. His quote is like, you have to outwork yourself though. Like, there's no other way to get rid of it. Yeah. Like, there's always someone out there. Like, I'd come home from training some days and I'd be like, that was a great day. That was a great day, Scraff. And obviously it's easy to compare yourself to other people. They're out there. He done more than me, but I don't even have to go on my phone sometimes. It's just like, someone out there. I know David Goggins is out there running. Or I know the next David Goggins is out there running. Or I know the next Kian McCarton is out there running. And he's out there training and potentially training to beat me and take what's mine. So that's just the way I think, and I feel like it keeps me right on track, and the people around me keep me on track. Like, I think the best man I have around me is probably my dad. Like, if I ever got a big head, he'd clatter me in the back of the head. So that's enough now. Like, that's enough now. Like, you won, but I'd still bait you. You'd probably say something like that. So you've been training consistently now for 10 years or so?
I joined boxing, I think, when I was 7 or 8, I'm going to say. So I've been in around fighting nearly all my life, And I've been training like twice a day, every day. Obviously, when I finished school, I wanted to drop out of school.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. What was it? I'm sure that this vision you have now of being a pro fighter isn't just something that's happened the last couple of years. I'm sure that's probably been a dream since you seen Conor go and do all that stuff. So how was it going through school knowing that the education system, let's say, wasn't necessarily going to be your path to achieving your goals?
Yeah, I actually only had this conversation the other night with my mum and dad, and I said, you should have let me drop out when I wanted to drop out. Now, there's an argument there for it, because they're saying you weren't mature enough, you probably weren't mature enough, you didn't know what you wanted to do, but in my mind, I knew what I wanted to do. I probably knew in second year what I wanted to do, or in third year. I was just coasting at the time. I wasn't dedicated to doing it, so I probably needed school to mature and grow up a little bit. But I was, they wanted me to finish school, so I done it. I finished school for them, and I always knew education wasn't going to be for me. I wasn't the smartest kid, I wasn't the best. But I finished school, I done my leaving cert, and I actually, on my own decision, I went and done a PLC in personal training. Done it for about a month, and said, here, fuck this, I'm going back to the gym. Because there was people in my course that hadn't a clue about being a PT, and I was like, if he can be a PT, I do not want to be one. Because if if this fella beside me who's asking me what a bicep is, doesn't want to do this, doesn't want to do that, I'm done. And this is only a 1 year course. If he can train clients in a year, I don't want to do it. And there was something in the back of my mind, because the gym was right around the corner. I only went to Inchicore.
Right, and the gym's around the corner.
And it was right around the corner, only at the Oblats. And something in the back of my mind saying, come on, start your journey, go for it. Hadn't had a fight yet. I was just on the pro team in SPG at the time, and I was kind of like earning my respect under John, and like showing that I could hold my own. I was like going with the girls first, then going with the smaller weight lads, and I was more of a grappler at the time, so no one ever knew who I was or what I was. So I'd go in and like catch someone with a slight choke, and John, everyone kind of like, what the fuck, who's this young fella? Who's this little specky bastard? Like, so that was it. And then I ended up finishing the course, or not finishing the course, dropping out of the course and going to training full time and working when I could, keep my money up just so I didn't have to rely on my mum and dad. They actually struck a deal with me. My dad said, for the first year we'll look after you, do what you want, go for it for a year and see where we go. But I ended up working part-time anyway, but that was then, and I haven't looked back since. And I don't think I'm delighted I will never look back. And please God, in a few years be on top, and I can look back to my dad and say, thanks very much. Thanks for, because ultimately my mum and dad, they're my biggest supporters, the biggest influence into what I do. Like without them I wouldn't do anything. Like I definitely wouldn't have finished school. God only knows what I'd be doing. I'd be doing some shite job where I'm not happy. If it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't be fighting. If it wasn't for my mum and dad, I wouldn't be sticking to it when I wanted to quit, when times got tough, even recently when times got tough. And they're the ones that always will like push you back into the positivity and doing what they know you're destined to do. Like they don't watch me train 7 days a week in the gym physically with their own eyes, but they still believe me when I say I'm going to be at the top of the world and I'm going to take on the world and be the best. And they'll still sit there proudly and say, yeah, my son will do that. I'm nearly sure my dad tells everyone about me in his job. I'd meet randomers and like wherever I am working myself and outfits, and they're like, you're John McCarton's son, and he's telling us about the MMA, and me ma will believe that I'd probably beat Francis Ngannou in a fight tomorrow morning. It's just the belief they have in me, and like I love it, of course. So if it wasn't for them, I'd be nowhere anyway. I know. I definitely know that for a fact.
A good support circle around you. I seen as well on Instagram. There's I think it was coming back from the European Championships.
Oh, the airport.
That's only a little bit of my family. Like that's not even all of them. That's just a few cousins, uncles, my mum and dad and my sister, and one or two of the lads. That's just, I have a good circle, good people around me, good positive people around me who believe in me, push me. I won't steer me in the wrong direction, and will always keep me on path. Won't let me get a big head or nothing like that. And I feel like that's very vital to a success story. If you listen to anyone that's successful or anyone that's ever done anything decent or successful with their life or their career, they'll tell you a small and good circle is what they have. Every single one of them will relate in that way, I feel. And that's what I have.
Oh, definitely.
So,
And like, obviously, you come from Bonoak, like ourselves.
Yeah.
There's a lot of young fellas in Bonoak. Not a lot of them go on to pursue their dreams or end up in world championships or whatever. Was there ever a time where you were being pulled in the wrong direction, or did you kind of always stay on track?
Yeah, like there could have been. It could have been a lot worse, I'd imagine. Like it'd be frightening to imagine it. But as I said, if it wasn't for my mum and dad, keep me on the right track, paying for my gym membership, go to the gym, go run amok in the gym and get battered and do what you want, or go have all your friends here so they knew where I was, and having the right circle around me, having the right friends. Them making sure and them knowing, like if I had a shit friend back then, they would have told me, like, and they did, like especially my dad. He told me like he'll end up there such and such in a few years' time, and
they have a weird way of knowing all that stuff, don't they?
And it's actually sad that my dad was right with a few of them, which is unfortunate, but I guess that's life. They're big and adults and they have their own decisions to make, and I'm glad that I had the right people around me to push me to make the right decisions.
As you were growing up, was there ever any, it seems like you had belief and your parents had belief, I'm sure outside of that circle there might have been some people who either verbally in what they said or maybe just how they acted around you when you were talking to them about it, would have given signs of like, Cian, come on, cop on now, do you know what I mean? Like, get a real job, or like, did that impact you at all? And if it did, how did you manage to stay focused on what you wanted to achieve and not let that, let's say, doubt be put upon you by other people?
Nah, not at all. Never. Like, I'd laugh people off. Like, when we'd be out with people and I'd say, someone would say, like, yeah, what do you want to do? And I'm going to be the champion of the world. I'm going to punch people for a living and get paid for it. Yeah, go on, you mad thing. Like, look at the size, this, that. It doesn't bother me. Never has, never will. Like, I've never fumbled under pressure, and I've never, what's the word? When someone's pushing you to do something.
Forced, like.
Yeah, I've never, like, been like that kind of person to be like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Never. But like, when people say something, you're always going to get someone that says something. No matter what you do, you're always going to get someone that says something negative. And it's just, I've just rolled with the punches all my life and believed in myself, as I said, and had the right people believing in me. And that's all I need. Like, I think that's all I'll ever need as well. No matter who says anything about me, even when I've lost in MMA, there's been one or two like media people that have said something about you, or
really,
just don't really let it affect you. Like, there's one person in there fighting, and it's me.
Yeah.
And there's one person that can change that, and if I know I'm the person that can change it, whether I went wrong or I went right, that's all I need to know. Like,
definitely. I think something that came across, obviously you're very confident in your abilities, but I think something I realised watching back your old interviews and stuff like that is you're very humble when you lose. Like, you're able to say you're great and all this stuff, but you're also able to acknowledge when you fell short. Where does that humility come from?
Just knowing where I'm at. I know I can come back from a loss. I know I can get over it. The sun rises the next day. You know what I mean?
Life goes on.
Yeah. As like, even there last week, John had a few lads on Bellator, and there was a few results that didn't go right. And John put in the group chat, the sun rises the next day, sees all our training. If that's all I have for the rest of my life, that's all. I'm happy with that. I'll be quite content to let the sun rise the next day and head on down to the gym. Whether I get the bus, I cycle, I walk, I bleed and run, whatever. If I'm getting down there, that's the way it is. Like, and I hate people that, hate's a strong word, but I really dislike people that make excuses after they lose, or blame the other person, or say, like, could it be him, but you didn't. You didn't. In amateur, you have 9 minutes to beat him. You have 9 minutes to beat him, and if you can't beat him and he beats you fair and square, never mind nothing about judges, because that does happen the odd time, which is sad. But if he beats you fair and square, you have to hold your head up and say, that's it, he beat me fair and square. And again, coming back to my dad, I feel like a lot of that comes down to him. Like, I remember I lost a fight before, and I was like making excuses. I was like, this didn't do this right this morning, didn't eat the right breakfast. And he was like, enough, that's it, you lost, and that's it. There's no way around it. And that's it, that's life. It goes on. And as I said, I learned a lot more from losses than I did from winning. Now, it's horrible to go back into the gym, and even walking down the road, there could be a bleeding random woman walking down the opposite of the road, and you're like, she knows I lost.
Yeah, she's seen me get choked out the weekend.
I don't know what MMA fighter I was talking about, but that's where I first heard that, and it's right. You're like, he knows I lost, she knows I lost. Your one serving you in Little or Aldi's like, she's looking at me because she knows last night I got battered.
Yeah.
You know what? That's it. You build everything up in your head, and I feel that's all that. A lot of things happen in life is what you build it up in your head and make it so much worse. But I like to give props to the person that beat me, whether we went back and forth before the fight. We don't know each other. We know each other like mates. That's it. He beat me in the 9 minutes or quicker than I beat him.
Yeah.
And fair play to him. I'll get on to the next, and I'll keep on going. I'll keep on stepping, walking that 1,000-long mile road like every single day.
Deadly. What I liked about that, Cian, is the humility that you said there, and it ties back to the confidence thing earlier. Your confidence doesn't come from thinking you can go out and batter everyone that you ever step in a ring with. It's like, my confidence, my humility comes from knowing that even if I do get beat, I can come back again and learn from that and come back stronger. And when we were writing the book, we were thinking about stuff that maybe throws people off track or causes people not to even bother going after a goal or a dream that they have. And one of the things is that fear of failure. Yeah. It's like, what if I try it and I fail and I get battered and I get choked out, and all the lads see it and laugh and jokes. Like, if your confidence just comes from that either external image you're trying to put out to the world of like trying to prove you're bulletproof or trying to prove like you never fall, it's like, it's going to be so fragile. you're going to trip over
and it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks.
Exactly. Whereas your confidence, and I think it comes from the right places, like comes from this belief that no matter what happens, I can pick myself up, learn from that, and be stronger as a result of it, and use that to fuel me then moving forward, which I think is excellent and is compounded into the results you've managed to have over the last 5 years and moving towards this 5-year vision you have for the next 5 years too.
Exactly, yeah. And I feel like, as I said, especially at amateur MMA, for me now, I just want the experience. I just want, I'll fight 10 times in the one night if they let me, like, not because I feel not before down the Swallows on a Saturday night, not because I feel like I can batter them 10 people, but I know when it comes to the pro game, and I'm like, oh, remember that fight when I was stuck in that, or when I was this and that, and I was fighting against the crowd, and the crowd hated me, and the other person was the favourite. That's all gonna stand to me. I always use, whenever anyone asks me about winning and losing in amateur MMA, the two perfect people to use, and they're at the top of their game now at pro, Kieran Clark and Lee Hammond. I think, now I don't know to be exact, so don't hate me if you hear this, lads, but I'm nearly sure they have, like, Kieran nearly has like even losses to wins, or maybe few more wins to losses, but it's like 12 and 12, or it might be something like that, and Lee has a good few as well. But now look at them. Do you know what I mean? Kieran's, I think he's 8-0 now. Yeah. He's Ireland's next up prospect, probably going to get signed to the UFC. Lee's just off the Ultimate Fighter, had a tough loss on the Ultimate Fighter, which he was winning, is a world-class athlete, and probably, again, the next star, like, out of Ireland, not just the gym, and to the world, like. No, absolutely. So I always use them, and no matter whether I say it or I think it, it's like, them lads done it right, and doing it right is taking everything on the chin and marching forward, and now look at them. Yeah,
it reminds me, is Kieran Clark, is he SPG as well?
Yeah,
SPG? Because it reminds me of the message that John Kavanagh puts in his book, Win or Learn. It's like that mindset that he spoke about with Conor coming up, is like, there's no losses. It's either we win the fight or we learn the lessons and go win the next fight. Exactly. Is that something that, being an SPG, being around those people, do you think that gets filtered through as a message just in the culture? Is it verbally said, or is it just how everyone in there kind of thinks and goes about their craft that filters through?
And not a lot of that would be verbally said. There'd be the odd time where John would have a chat with us, all of us together after a session, before a session, after what you put in the group after Bellator. The sun rises the next day, get up and get after. Like, that's enough, I feel. And we're all in there with the same similar mindset, pushing each other on. If someone's has just lost or low, everyone's gonna be there to pull you up, and there's gonna be, you know what you're aiming for. It's the man standing next to you who's at the top of the bill in his division, or at the top of the bill in his organisation. Like, that's where you want to get. And I think that a lot of the lads would say the same. Like, there's no secret to success. There's no secret at all. It's just, again, being consistent, sticking to it, and going for it, giving everything you all, and trusting the people around you. Sometimes you have to trust them even when you don't trust it yourself.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
No, when it doesn't make sense to you, but it will always make sense in the end. I feel, if you have the right people around you, the right coaches, and the right friends. I'll always circle back to that. Like, that's a big thing for me. Having the right people around you, and just being overall positive, being positive even when you're being negative. Like, that's a big thing for me. And I feel the energy in the gym, and in the morning, like when the pro team is on, in the mornings, like when someone's training hard for a fight, or someone just came back from a fight, like, or the lads are walking around with their belts, getting, like, doing all their media stuff. It's like, there's no secret to success. All I have to do is keep showing up here every day, and keep stepping and keep punching, and that's it.
100%.
And that's
focus on the process.
Glory,
No, because, like, people might see, I don't know, Conor McGregor win his belt, or whoever, somebody else win their fight. They don't see the hours they spent on the mat getting choked out, or sweating buckets. Like, they only see the glorified part.
I think it's like,
before they put you there.
There's a saying, and it's like 10,000 hours to get
mastery,
good at something.
Yeah.
So, but like, that might be 10,000 hours to master an armbar. There's fucking 15, 20 other bleeding chokes you have to figure out, you know what I mean? So it's a lot of hours, and you can spend 2-3 hours in a jiu-jitsu class, or a grappling class, MMA class, boxing, whatever, doing something. I could spend an hour and a half doing a jab, step back, jab, right hand. You know what I mean? If it's going to take that long, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm dedicated to doing it, and I want it, so I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And that's how it is.
Simple.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's it. It's simple as. It's fucking not simple when you're bleeding bollocks doing it.
Simple in theory, yeah.
Someone's trying to punch you back.
Yeah. And then you have to learn about people hitting you,
different ball.
That's the worst part.
But no, something actually, like, I don't know much about MMA, but I kind of only really got interested when Conor started coming up.
Yeah.
But I'd say even more than Conor, somebody I really love is John Kavanagh. Like, I'd watch all his interviews. I read his book. We met him the other day for like 30 seconds.
He slagged the book.
He slagged that book, but I didn't care. As
What did he say?
He said it's more of a pamphlet than a book.
Yeah.
It's short.
That's typical, John. Don't take it to heart, lads. He said some bad things about me over the years.
But something I always admired about him is, like, because obviously any sport, but especially like fighting, is like, it's a very emotional game.
Yeah.
So, like, the adrenaline's gone, tempers are high, you're losing.
Ego's on the line big time, yeah.
He always seems to be, whether he's giving corner advice or giving interviews, he just seems calm. It's like, whatever happens, and we'll deal with it as it arises.
Yeah.
Is that something that comes through in the gym as well?
Yeah, John is the exact same. Whether you're talking to him here now, sitting down, talking about a technique, or talking about walking in the park, as he is in a 5-round title fight cornering you.
Yeah.
Just use that as an example. From the lowest to the highest peak. He's the exact same. And I think that's what we all love. Because, like, the odd fighter needs, like, the one or two. Maybe he might need, like, the one coach screaming in his ear, get it, yeah. And then, like, hitting him before he fights and all, like, and that's mainly what your third man in the corner is for.
Yeah.
Because your first man's going to be John, your second man's going to be your other coach, and your third man's either going to be your friend or your other coach. And that's the person that runs around, does all, like, the leading donkey work and slaps you, and you're battering him before the fight when you're warming up and all. He's the one that gets all the smacks. But John will never change, and I personally love that about him. He's cornered me now a few times, and I remember he cornered me when I first done the World Championships. I was fighting a Russian, and it was just slow and clear, and I was winning the fight slow and clear. I ended up going on, I think I got submitted early in the third, it was early in the third, because I remember sitting down on the stool twice. And I remember sitting down on the stool and being like, this is exactly like being in the gym. Because he corners you in the gym when you're sparring, doing a simulation spar. Or he's there and he's speaking and he's just like, all right, Kian, that leg kick's working. Just keep chopping away at that leg. And then he's going to drop that backhand and you're going to pop over with a right hand. I was like, what? Next thing I know, chopped away right hand, his hand chopped and catch him with right hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's like, lovely. On to the next thing now. Clear as day in your ear from the corner. Yeah. You can actually hear him. Obviously his voice is raised a little bit. You can hear him in the video when I fought that Russian fella, and he's saying them exact instructions. I think it was he was talking about a teep. He was like, teep him with your back leg, and I done it. I ended up breaking my foot in that fight, but I done it, and he was like, lovely, now we're on to the next thing. He's gonna rush in, you're gonna step back right hand, and that happened. And it's just like simple, simple advice. I remember listening to an interview he done before, and he was like, I'm not going to go into the corner and tell you when you're breathing out your hole 400 things to do, and to keep your hands up at the same time, and keep your chin low at the same time, and not get taken down and take him down. I'm just going to go out and tell you one thing to work on, and one thing you're doing really well at. Give you 30 seconds to breathe, and you're up and you're on again. And that's it. And that's what I love. And then personally, for me, I don't feel like I need the person screaming in my ear, but every now and then it's nice to get that little scream in the ear. You're battering them. Sound nice one. That's cool. And then on to it. I don't think you'll ever change, and I think that comes across in the gym, that comes across in the biggest fights ever, or it comes across in a community centre when John's coaching us. It's good.
You made your amateur debut, was it 2 years ago, you said?
Yeah, I think, 2 years ago, this September it was.
This September. Talk me through, what was it like your first time going out for your debut? How were you feeling? Were you nervous going into it?
Maddest experience. I don't think I'll ever forget that experience in my life, because I made my MMA debut on the international level. Okay. My first fight, which was a risky move, a lot of people were telling me. I didn't have a lot of experience. I had the odd few boxing fight, as I said, jiu-jitsu competition. I was fairly nifty with jiu-jitsu. Really? And
so your first MMA fight was for Ireland?
Yeah, it was for Ireland in Prague in the World Cup, and felt ready. Now, looking back on it now, obviously I feel like you're always going to look back and say, oh Jesus, I was in bad shape, or this and that. I felt like my conditioning could have been done, but I still went and done 3 rounds, hard fight, I fought a fella from Prague, lost a split decision in Prague, which I'll leave it for you to say, whatever. Yeah. I felt I won the fight, but I didn't. I got up and I got over it. Maddest experience in my life, looking back on that week. I've been on a few trips now, probably I think 3 now with the Ireland team, and I think that's the best one I've ever been on because it was my first one.
Yeah.
I was just like a sponge. I was soaking everything in. There was a big, huge team there. There was people who I looked at that were superstars at Amateur MMA at the time, and I was like, Jesus, he's here as well. And, oh, Jesus, we're warming up together. Such like that. And then even people that have went on to prosper in the MMA game now, they're huge in the MMA, and people that were at the top of the amateur level at the time then that have now went on, like I'll use Shauna Bannon for example. She was on the team at the time and now she's in the UFC.
Yeah.
So that week in Prague is a crazy place to be. It was the best week I'm gonna say I don't think it's been topped going away for Ireland other than that week. And I've been to Abu Dhabi with them, and that was a sick experience. But I just felt like being in Prague was, cause I was taking everything in. And like if the lads turn around and said like we're going to shop, I'm like, deadly, we're going to bleed shop, like excited for nothing. And had the fight, had a good 3-round war, and I felt like I was a lot smaller in the fight anyway, but I felt like I earned my keep on the international level. I remember I got like a little standing ovation for the small crowd that was there, like, and I was screaming things and I was talking in his language to him and all in the fight. And it was a good scrap. Would have loved to go on and fight the fella the next day now, the Tajik fella who I ended up, I'm decent friends with him now. Would have loved to go on to fight him because he was a hardy bastard.
Yeah.
But it wasn't to be, and maybe get him down the road someday.
Yeah, it's UFC championship.
Yeah. Please God, yeah.
How did you feel going into that first fight? Were you nervous? Were you confident? Did you feel like there was a lot of pressure, or did it feel like there's nothing really to lose here?
Just nothing, yeah. Like there's always that bit of nerves warming up. There's always in the IMMAF it's different. So you go out and you stand beside your opponent a whole fight before your fight.
Okay.
So I'm standing here and he's standing right beside me and we're just awkwardly bouncing up and down looking at each other. And it's just kind of like, haha, all right, pal. Like that's it. And a whole 10-15 minutes before you fight. Because that's the way the IMMAF, they do it. They bring you down from the warm-up area. They bring you down into the bullpen where you wait and you're standing beside them. And even in the warm-up room, you are all sharing the one warm-up room. So you're looking at him. And you're like, jeez, he's throwing lots of head kicks there on the pads. Yeah. I remember watching him, he was hitting pads and I was reading into it too much. And I was like, fuck, that back kick. And I was like, don't want to get caught with that kick. And I got caught with it a few times in the fight. And I was like, Jesus, that's the one he was throwing on the pads.
Yeah.
But yeah, the IMMAF experience, the maddest thing ever, and I was happy I made my debut with that because then I remember I fought on a show and I was like, this is great. Don't see my opponent, don't have to look him in the eyes, no intimidation factor. I just see him in the cage when we're meant to fight, which is good because a lot of people can fold in that IMMAF setting, I feel, in that waiting, looking at your opponent.
Yeah, you start overthinking things.
Me, I loved it. I was singing in his ear and dancing up and down and saying mad shit. And I remember Paddy Holohan was the Ireland coach, one of the Ireland coaches at the time, and he cornered me.
Okay.
Because no coaches out my gym were there, and he was great in the corner. He was dead. He tells you everything you want to hear, and he gives you the slap on the back and rubs your face, and he's deadly. And went in, as I said, had a good 3-round scrap off this big lanky fella. He was easily about a foot taller than me, I'd say, but had a good fight. Back and forth on the feet, grappling exchanges, lost the split, and had the best week probably ever. It was deadly.
That's unreal, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have to ask you though, because I asked Kenny and he didn't have a good answer to it. So hopefully
putting Kenny under the bus there, guys.
Do you have any pre-fight superstitions or rituals that you go through before a fight?
I did hear this, and he said he'd just wear any socks and all. I'd like to say no, but when I think about it, in the warm-up, now it's not something I couldn't live without, but in the warm-up before I fight, I always put on a pair of tracksuit bottoms, and it seemed to be the same pair of tracksuit bottoms. It's the Ireland tracksuit bottoms that I wore in my debut. Right. So I just had a pair of my fight shorts on, my fight top on, because you have to wear a rash guard fighting the IMMAFs. I had them on, and then I put the full Ireland tracksuit on because I wanted to look the part. I love I love looking the part.
Yeah.
Like, and I was so proud of being on an Ireland team. Like, I remember looking when I was younger and looking at like Irish boxers.
Yeah.
And being like, Jesus, I'd love to do that. Yeah. I'd love to represent my country. I'm a very proud person, and I love where I come from. And I remember putting on the tracksuit in the warm-up area because it was a little bit chilly. You wanted to keep the heat in.
Yeah.
And ever since then, in all my other fights, I've worn the same tracksuit bottoms before a fight in the warm-up. Now, just out of pure luck because they're handy, because they zip up right up to the knees over the shin pads that you have to wear in IMMAFs.
Yeah.
But even when I fought on shows when there was no shin pads, I just loved the bottoms, so I just wore them. So maybe that's a little bit superstition without wanting it to be, but now it is, I guess, because I said it.
Now you said it,
Yeah.
So next fight you have to tell them
they're in the suitcase already. They're in the suitcase already, yeah.
Have them joy for the morning.
And I never really train in them, so that's the only time I ever wear them.
Yeah.
I might do 1 or 2 training sessions in them, like a wrestling session, or I've done sprints in them once or twice, and I go on a few jogs outside in them. But other than that, I'd never really wear them. Like,
yeah.
So maybe that is superstition.
Long may it last.
Yeah.
One more question and then you can
go ahead.
Because I was listening to, I think it was Fans Due MMA, you done an interview with probably about over a year ago now.
Yeah.
And you were
sitting
saying,
out the back garden.
Yeah.
And the connection came.
All the boys are slagging me about that.
And I can't remember how recent your fight was before that, but you were saying that they played the wrong walkout song for you.
Yeah.
What song did you want and what song did they play? Do you remember?
And that was funny. I was only thinking about that when I was going up here, because I had a feeling it'd be brought up about do I have a walkout song?
Yeah.
All my fights, because IMMAFs you don't get walkout songs. It's just, as I said, you're awkwardly standing there beside the person and you're out fighting. So never had one for that. And then when I fought on shows, I've never said to a DJ, I want this song. And I remember when I first fought in Tallaght, I had a big crowd. I think I sold 60 tickets, which was big because I was only low down on the card. Wasn't a big fight or anything. It was my first fight. In like on home soil, say, and I asked for, it was either 50 Cent I'm the Man or it was a Kanye West song. I can't remember it, but I remember going back and forth for weeks with the lads about what to do. I walk out and it was a great spot for me because I had a great plan. I was gonna stand there and it was like saying I'm the man. I was gonna stand there. It was like on a podium above the cage as well, and all the crowd looking at you. I was gonna stand there and just nod my head, and they played fucking Johnny Cash. I can't remember it, man. A Johnny Cash song, and it was fucking dreadful. But I remember when they started playing it, I remember making a face, and you can see it on the camera. I'm like, what? And then I was like, we roll with it. We roll with it. I can't remember the name now. It'll kill me.
Did you ever see the Mike Perry video where that happens?
Yeah. He walks out and it's Rihanna or something.
Halo, Beyonce.
Yeah. But yeah, I just embraced it and took it in and found it quite funny. And I've never picked a walkout song since at shows. Even my last fight, I remember, I don't know what song they picked for me, but I was first in the cage, and because your man was it was his hometown show, and he came out to Jerry Cinnamon. Belter, and I remember standing in the cage being like, little song, like singing along, and as he got in and all, not about that.
We'll have to, maybe we'll record a song one of the days
at the big shows.
Yeah.
I'd love something like similar to Connor's now. People say I'll copy him, but I'd love like an Irish song then into something.
Definitely.
And I love the Irish side of it. As I said, I'm a very proud person. I love where I come from, and I feel representing Ireland's a big thing for me. And not even about just fighting at the highest level. It's just about representing Ireland and feeling that bit of pride to say I can do it and say I'm fighting at the highest level. So I think when I do start picking my songs and caring about them, so to say, when I go pro, it'll be something along the lines Irishy. Maybe into something for a bit of a bounce to get the crowd going.
Yeah, definitely.
Along down the road now. Quite patriotic, doesn't it, fighting? It's like all the fighters, it's always like well, I know the UFC had flags banned for a while.
No, it's back now.
It's back now, so it's like there is something really patriotic about stepping into a cage and fighting, isn't it? Think
about it's the, like, go all the way back to the gladiators, like it's the best form of anything, I feel. Fighting.
Yeah.
If I could sort anything out in my life and with a fight, I'd do it.
You say shepherd's pie, man.
Me, man, having a bleeding Barney over dinner. But she give it back as well, I tell you. But yeah, I just feel like fighting is the highest bit of pride I carry, and I feel like I'll always be like that. Real patriotic, real love what I do and give all to what I do, whether it be a local fight in a community centre or a fight on the highest stage at the highest bill in front of a sold-out arena, I'm going to give it my all and go for it.
Yeah.
So after that loss in Prague, what was the next fight you had after that, and how soon was it you were back in the cage?
Prague, so that was September.
Yeah, your debut.
And then I didn't fight until the February or January, I'm nearly sure.
Okay.
I fought in the Nationals. I don't even know if it's registered on my record. I don't look at the record. As I said, I don't care. But I fought in the Nationals, won my first fight, and fought the next day against a lad called Aaron Henry. He was a great fighter, still fighting now. And he armbarred me in the second round. If it's first round, sorry, Aaron. Won't take that away from you. But yeah, he armbarred me then, and that was my second fight. Again, another loss. Yeah. Took it on the chin. I remember getting out of the cage at the time, and my dad was the only one there. Like, you weren't allowed anyone there, and we snuck into the gym. Him being his usual self, never wants to miss a fight or never wants to miss anything. And I remember I actually really hurt my arm in the armbar because I took him down and then he armbarred me. It was tight as fuck.
Right, yeah.
And I hurt myself in the armbar, one or two little pops. And I remember sitting down and saying to my dad, like, oh, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I still have time. I'm only 18 or 19. Maybe I should go and do something. Maybe I should join the army. I've always wanted to do it. Or maybe I should get an apprenticeship. I'm good with my hands. And my dad clattered me in the back of the head and said, get up and get over it. That's it. It's a loss and that's all it is. We're going to get on. We're going to get on back on the horse and we're going to go again. And that's what I done. Got back on the horse and I went again. I had another fight then. That's when I had that fight in Tallaght. I'm nearly sure I won that. Then I had another one. I'm nearly sure I won that. Then another loss. And then another fight, won. Then Europeans won. So on, yeah. But if I was to listen to what your man David Goggins says, my inner bitch that day, if I had sat down, I remember exactly where I was sitting in the gym. It was in the little weights area because I still do all my conditioning and weights there, and I think about the moment sometimes. I remember sitting there holding my arm, and it probably wasn't as sore as I was making it out to be. And I was like, this isn't for me. And I had one or two of the lads around me. I think Dara Kelly was there, and he said it as well. And he was like, listen, that's it. Get up and get over it. And my dad came over as hard as nails as he is and as tough as he is on me, clapped me in the back of the head and said, that's it. You're not going to talk about it again. You're not going to say them words again. And we're on to the next. And that's all it is. And it was just a little small blink of a thought in my head. I've never had it since. And I don't think I ever will have it because my mindset is a lot stronger now than when I was. I was just feeling sorry for myself at the time.
That's understandable, man.
Yeah.
You mentioned in that interview with the Fans View MMA chap that when you do have those days where inevitably you're just not motivated or you don't feel like getting into the gym or whatever else, usually it's the tight circle around you who help kind of get you back on track. Yeah. You mentioned your dad a lot. I'm actually interested. What was your relationship with your dad like growing up? Like, say, young?
Great, yeah. My dad was my hero growing up. Still is now today. Like, my dad and my mum are heroes. Like, I can't say a bad word about them. They've devoted their life to me and my sister and anyone they can. I feel like a lot of people, friends and family, will say that about them. Yeah. But my relationship with my dad was great. My dad was in the army, so like when he was away, I acted up a lot because it was just me acting up, missing him, and that was my way of expressing it. So even the teachers in the school knew at the time. Even right up until I was 17, I was just stubborn. I wouldn't say it. Like I didn't. I felt like I could never talk about emotions because men don't talk about emotions, boys don't talk about emotions. But whenever my dad would go away, go do 6 months here and there, providing for the family, and I'd never see it like that. I'd always just say, he's gone again. You know what I mean? Not like he was leading, not there my whole life, but he was doing what he had to do. And that's all he was doing. And I'd act up and I'd change, and then when he'd come back and I'd be back on track and I'd be motivated, and he'd always keep me in line. And still to this day, whenever my dad comes home from work, like, or I just see him in the afternoon, evening time, he said, "Did you train today?" I was like, "Yeah." "How was it?" "Good." And that's normally all the conversation. That's all he needs to know. He's like, "You going again to the gym tonight?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Graham, what you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing boxing tonight, or I'm going to do all the sprints tonight." He's like, "Who you sparring?" I'm like, this. And then I show him my videos, all my spars. He can tell me from a boxing side of view what he can do. Like, he'll always say, here, I don't know about all that ground stuff now, but I'll tell you, your right hand's dropping. And he'll always analyse everything I do, and he'll watch fights and he'll say, why is he doing this? And he'll ask me questions. And I feel like I've not only just learned off him, but he's learned off me over the years now, and he's just as big as a fan of MMA as I am. Nice. And again, my mom doesn't know much about the sport, but as I said, will support me every way she can and tell everyone about me and share and post and anything they can do. And all my family are like that, which it's another blessing to have, like, because you can't do this alone. It's a lonely sport in some aspects, but you can't do it alone. No, not at all. But overall, relationship with my dad, can't complain at all. Great. And another person, pivotal person who I feel like I wouldn't be fighting today, was it for him.
It's interesting that you mentioned so many examples of how he's kind of gone about helping keep you on track, because nowadays there is a bit of a, let's say, shift or a movement where it's almost like that sort of harder style of parenting, let's say, right, of like giving them a little clatter on the head and saying, right, pull yourself up, come on, get together here. It's like that's nearly shown there, that's nearly like thrown away. It's like, nah, like be gentle, be careful. He wants to quit. No, he wants to quit, let him quit. It's okay, you know.
It's all good to quit.
You know, maybe it is, but maybe it's not. You know, maybe that's not what he needs to do, and maybe he just needs to be told, right, you're just having a moment, knock yourself out, but let's get back on the horse and go again. And I think, like, if you didn't have that influence from him all the way up, where would you have been? If we didn't have it from your dad, who'd be of a similar kind of mold as your dad, it's like, where would we be? And I think that's probably something that hopefully I'll be proven wrong, but the next generation of kids coming up may suffer as a result of that, of the kind of push that's being put on parents to maybe take a bit of a softer approach or a bit of a gentler approach, and maybe that spectrum will shift too far the other side, where kids won't have that same level of resilience, or, you know, just dogging them to go and get after stuff and go again and get back on the horse. And I know you mentioned in that Fans View MMA interview that you done around like the quality of kids coming up nowadays, and like even for your generation now, the amateurs who are fighting now compared to maybe amateurs when Conor was coming up, it's like everyone stands on the shoulders of giants. It's like you get the benefit from the work that the lads before you put in, and now the lads coming after you will get the benefit from your work. Is that something, especially in fighting gyms, is there a culture there of kind of keeping that standard of high performance and wanting to like pass on the lessons to the next generation, but also keeping that, let's say, more macho sort of like what we mentioned with your dad, like that sort of a little like, come on, let's keep going? Is that something that you feel within the gym?
Like I feel like, I think I had a similar conversation only a while ago with Kiefer Crosbie about this. And he was saying, like, I think he was asking me and one of the other lads, the younger lads, they're even younger than me, like, and he was like, what age are you? And I was like, oh, I just turned 22, whatever. And he was like, fuck, man, you have the world at your feet, boys. Like, I remember the level such and such then wasn't as good, and now you have everything, like, capitalize on everything, and use yourselves are so good compared to 22-year-olds when he was 22, say. And like, to hear something like that from someone like that is big. And then now when I look at it and there's like one or two young lads coming up and they're into the pro team now, they're just coming into the pro team, I'm like, I love it, because I'm not the youngest now. So now I need to push him, but I need to not let him get bigger than me or better than me. So that's the hardiness of it. So there's the side of it, it's like, let's go, keep going, encourage everyone to keep going, getting better. And then there's always a thing where it's like, yep, get up, get down, relax a bit, like clip their wings a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, because I've had mine clipped many a times, I still am to this day. Like, there's no light rounds or no hardship when you're in full files getting blade punched around. But, like, it's great to see. Like, even I'm still very young, and I'm not a veteran in amateur MMA, nothing like it, but I'd like to think like I have them extra few fights and a few lads, so the knowledge I can give them, I'll 100%, I'll give them everything I can, because everything the person above me they gave me. So that's the way it's meant to go. And if, like, we all should be advocates for amateur MMA to get on the level and spectrum as amateur boxing. I'd love to look, not even when I'm retired, but in 10 years time, and turn around and look up on Google amateur MMA high performance gym, and do like what they're doing, what Kenny was saying, what they were doing. So like, they go live there, the lads that are from down the country. It's the best, because we have a team now, but have a team that train together, and that's the high performance team, and they go on trips regularly and everything's funded. Like, that's the goal for amateur MMA as a whole. So if I can do my little part by helping the next lad down, and he can hopefully help the next lad down, and so on, I feel like that's the goal, and that's what everyone should be striving for, because it's not only, I'm not going to benefit from it, because it's not going to happen in my amateur time, but hopefully my kid can benefit if he decides to go into MMA, or someone I know that decides to go into MMA in a few years' time can benefit from it, and have a chart to follow and where he goes and what he does. And look what the amateur MMA team are doing. Yeah. They're going on weekly trips or monthly trips to, like Kenny was saying, Russia. Like, they're going to Ukraine, USA. They're going to crazy places, and it's all funded. Yeah. And they don't have to slave away getting a job, and because it's tough. It's very tough to work full-time and train full-time.
Tell us a bit, like, what's a typical day in the life for you at the minute?
At the minute now, I just stopped working full-time myself.
So you've stopped working now?
Yeah, I stopped working full-time because I want to cut no corners. Nothing at all. So I'm trying to do the odd bit of one-to-one coaching when I can. Available. I just try to be available for whoever and suit them around them, because they're the one paying me, of course. Yeah. And then I work on the weekends doing my I was working full time doing my job, working at events and festivals, and just day in day out graft as well, like I said. But after I won the Europeans, I done probably 5 or 6 interviews, or 7 or 8 in a row, and I only ever seen one after. And then there was a quote that was highlighted in it, and it was like what was it? I live in a professional's lifestyle and an amateur's wage, 0. And that's what I do. Yeah. And that's what we all do. And like, I remember a few lads on the amateur team, when I came back from that, they said, man, that's fucking great that you said that. Because I probably wouldn't have said that on a thing. And if they want me to be the one that says it, I'll gladly be the one to say it, because I live it. Yeah. And I do it every single day, and I'll continue to do it until I eventually start getting paid when I go pro. But it's a tough slog. Again, turns back to my mum and dad. I live in their house. I live out the back in a cabin in their house, like, so they could gladly turn around and say, I want this and this every week, and I want this and that, and so on, or you're out, if they wanted to. And I can't argue and say, oh no, I'm your son. I'm a 22-year-old man, and that's it. But they trust and believe in me that I'm gonna do greatness and say what I'm gonna do. Yeah. So I look at some lads that are being nearly forced into a full-time job, and I feel sorry for them, but circumstances are circumstances. And it's tough out here. Yeah, a lot of people are struggling. A lot of amateurs struggle day in, day out for money, to work full-time, to train full-time. It's like training once a night isn't really enough. We all know that, but if that's all you can do, that's all you can do. And that's it. That's life.
What's the saying? You can't ride 2 horses with 1 horse.
Yeah.
But you're forced it in the amateur game because
exactly,
you have a choice.
And that's turns back to then why we should all be promoting and helping amateur MMA, and hopefully get it recognised. And in a few years' time, we can all sit back and look back and say, like, he was a great advocate. Give him an award, like that coach an award, that man an award. Because now that it is funded, it's all because of him. And then he's going to say, there's hundreds of people behind me who to thank as well, but I'll happily be the face of it and be the one that's just voicing it. Yeah. So that's the end goal, I feel, because like the IMMAFs now, the IMMAF World Championships is essentially the Olympics of amateur MMA.
Okay, yeah.
It's like there's no like 4 year. It's not as long and prolonged as the Olympics. And I might piss a few people off by saying that in the boxing world, because they might say the Olympics you have to do such and such trials and you have to go all this. But
it's the equivalent of the MMA.
That's the highest level we have at amateur MMA. So that's what I'd say is the Olympics of amateur MMA. Yeah, and that's what it is. Like, but there's still no funding, unfortunately. The government think it's dog fighting, dog rules. I think they said it one day.
Crazy, yes.
I don't know the whole politics side of it.
I'm sure there's some of that involved, one way or another.
There'll be plenty of that involved, but I know there's the right people pushing for it, and I can do my part and just keep going out and winning and bring another gold home for Ireland and say, look, government or whoever is making this decision, whoever's sitting there in your suit making the decision, saying that's not a good sport. Yeah. There you go. And like it's the same with like boxers and MMA fighters. Like they'll say like, oh, we're too violent and we're not good people. But if you meet any MMA, like majority of MMA fighters are boxers, like they're the nicest and most relaxed people ever. Yeah. Maybe it's because we know we could punch people around and we don't have to. or maybe it's just because the discipline and the
humility,
everything we've been taught. So,
especially because Ireland, like Conor McGregor, probably the biggest MMA star ever.
Yeah.
You think who's in the UFC at the minute? You've got Ian Gary, Sean O'Bannon, Rhys McKee, Caelan Loughran, Kiefer Crosbie. You know, like it's not like the country hasn't produced talent and hasn't proven. And even in Bellator, like Liam McCourt, Sinead Kavanagh, all the boys, Peter, like there's so many Irish athletes who perform, and yet there's still a reluctance from the government to actually, like, if this is what they can achieve, literally living on scraps, this is what Ireland can produce. What could they produce if they had proper funding, if they had proper performance teams or performance centres?
I'd love for even like a 5-year trial plan, say, because a year isn't enough. It's fighting. A year is not enough. Let's say a 5-year trial plan, and I'd love for the top dog in MMA who's advocating for it, so like the whoever it is at the time, and this fella to shake hands and say, in 5 years, if you haven't won 5 gold medals and 4 silver medals, you're done. The funding's done. That's cut. And I'd say within 2 years we'd have that. 2 years with proper funding, the proper best in the country, and the poor Joe So that's out there working and can train as much as he can, and that's why he might lose the fight. Yeah. Because it makes that big of a difference. But
margins,
again, it's not down to me.
It's interesting. I remember there was a documentary about Newcastle when the Saudis took over Newcastle, and they kind of followed another way. Arsenal had the documentary, and Sunderland had theirs. Newcastle had one, but they were doing a thing where they literally stood back, because the argument would be, oh, but like, you know, money's not everything. You know, you don't need to have all this money to go and do things. Work hard and you'll earn your stripes, whatever else. But they done an actual analysis, the Newcastle owners did, when they came in, and they looked at the positive correlation between who finished highest in the Premier League and who had the highest wage bills. And it was like, the higher your wage bills, the higher you finish. And it's like, you can't, fair enough, there might be a tipping point where more money isn't the solution, but especially in the early stages. And like, where there's lads like Keane, and I'm sure so many hundreds, potentially thousands of others who are like trying to go after a goal and a dream, trying to do all these things, double sessions leading up to competitions and events, trying to do all that shit, and on top of that then hold down a job so they can literally just make ends meet. When we were chatting to Keane beforehand, he was talking about having to like buy your own gear, you know, buy your own equipment, pay for your own flights out to things. If you need to stay overnight somewhere, it's like none of that is covered. It's like, how are you meant to sustain yourself as a human being, as a man, and then go and pursue a dream and achieve stuff, you know?
And we're not like, when I say like I'd love funding for Ireland, the MMA, we're not asking for millions and millions, just enough to prove our worth. I know right this second, like, I could pick the best in the country in my head, so to say, at what weight division, and I could say, they'll prove that they're the best in the country. Just give them that little push, that helping hand that you have. But please God, in the future, if we just keep on showing up and just keep winning, again, as I said, that stick-to-itness, if we just keep on doing it in a few years' time, like, just being stubborn in a good way. If we just keep on doing it, we might turn around one day and say, we're the official recognised sport.
You said something interesting that I really wanted to ask you about on that Fans View MMA interview, because he was asking a little bit about going pro and what, you know, the steps to going pro would be like. We come from the world of like, growing up, we wanted to be footballers, and that's very like arbitrary. It's like you become a professional when someone offers you a professional contract. If you don't get it, you're not a pro, and that's it. Versus chatting to Kenny last week, boxing, you can kind of choose yourself almost when you go pro. What's it like in MMA? What's the path to going pro there like?
I wouldn't be too knowledgeable myself, still only an amateur, but from what I know, it's like, it's nearly like you build up your portfolio, say, in amateur MMA, you get as many fights as you can, get whatever you want under your belt. Some people might have it in their mind that I want 2 belts in this way, 1 belt in this way, I want to have X amount of fights. And then they'll go to their coach and they'll say, I want to turn professional. The coach will then either, if he has good links and has a manager and is a manager as well, he'll both manage and coach you, and then take a percentage, and then he'll go to the organisations, to the connections he knows, and go from there. So he'll get you the like signing what you're on, such and such. And then there's like management companies. So they'll be, so like a big one at the moment is Anthony Pettis' management company. So he's signing a lot of lads, and like they go out and they get you fights, and they get you contracts, and they get you, they tell you when you're fighting, who you're fighting, you want to accept? Yes, no. Stupid to say no, because then they can go down the list and then say, all right, he said no, don't go to him next time.
Yes, yeah.
So you should always say yes. And yeah, that's really how it works. And then you'll assign the contract.
And then you're pro.
Yeah, and then you'll officially be a pro and you'll do your first camp as a pro fighter.
Because you mentioned on that interview that you'll know when you're ready to go pro. So your corner, your coaches, your team will have an influence on that, but you'll be the one to make the call and say, yeah, I want to go now. What has to happen, do you think, for you to feel like I'm ready?
Enough experience. I feel comfortable in the cage. I feel comfortable in the cage fighting. I think now it's not about the numbers. Like, I want to get X amount of fights, so to say, but I could get to that X amount of fights. Say if I want 15 to 20 amateur MMA fights, I might get to that moment and go, not ready.
Yeah.
I want to have one or two more hard fights. I want to learn one or two more things. I want to get that bit bigger. I want to add on 10 kilos of muscle, 5 kilos of muscle, so to say. And then the people around with you will know as well from being with you every day, and you will discuss, and then you will go from there. Yeah. But for me, it's not like I have 100% trust and belief in the people around me, and I feel like they'll tell me when I'm right, and I will know realistically when I'm right as well.
You're surrounded
when I'm
by
ready to go, yeah.
The environment you're in, no better place for it to.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. As I say, it comes back down to having the right people around you, and being pushed in the right direction, and no leading shite bags around you. Go for the money, because sometimes not going for the money is the good thing. Going for the long roll and getting the contract out of it and getting that extra few fights might be better, might be more beneficial. So it all comes down to the right decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, let the money follow you, don't follow
exactly, yeah. I have a good one, and I think I seen it from Gary Rooney, one of my good friends. Just made his professional debut there a few weeks ago.
Did he win?
Yeah, he won.
Well done,
yeah,
Gary.
He went out, he left the amateur scene as number 1 flyweight in Ireland and the UK. So he left in the right manner, and started his pro career now as number 1. But I think I seen it from him a few years ago, and it's like, never chase the money, but always get your worth.
Yeah,
and that's something I'd say to myself and always stick to now. Always get my worth, but never go for the money.
Just make decisions based on
and
that.
Being at the top, the money will follow, of course, but. I was listening to Kiefer Crosbie's podcast with Talking Bollocks, and they were asking money or legacy. Ultimately, of course, you want to look after your family and it's about money, but I'm chasing legacy because I know the money's coming with the legacy, and that's how it works. So they come hand in hand.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'll never shoot myself in the foot or bite my own face off. Yeah, I'll never do that.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
I have a very mature outlook on things.
Yeah, I just, as I said, just doing the right thing day in, day out, waking up, putting my 2 feet on the ground and doing the right steps and nothing negative and
putting the work
all
in.
positive.
Not
Putting the work
steps,
in, and that's it.
That's true. And it sounds like you were, I might be wrong here, but it seems like you kind of went through a bit of a rough patch the last few months in terms of training.
Yeah.
There was a couple of injuries. I'm not sure if there was a loss in the family as well. That. How has all that given you more fuel to the fire to keep on moving forward, or has it made you question things? Or
never questioned anything. I lost my nanny. She passed away the 1st of May this year, which was big on the family. Like, she had dementia. She was sick for a few years, and we all knew it was coming, but it's not good when it comes, you know. It was very tough on a lot of us, and I felt as a mature man in the family, I had to kind of like, again, it brought back to that childish thoughts of hide your feelings and kind of go away in the darkness. And I remember I broke down at one point, and I said it to my dad, and I said, I don't know if I can be as strong or as like not positive but like encouraging as you. And he said, like, you're the man you're the man you're gonna be, and that's it. And yeah, I remember carrying the coffin out, and I was happy I done it. I was happy I got to do it. It was a tough day and a tough while in the whole family. Not like we're over it now. It's still tough, and I still think about it a lot. But it's strived me on and pushed me forward. Because I remember when I won the Europeans last year, she was like, had dementia, was sick at the time, of course, but my auntie showed her a video and they were out on a drive and she had to pull over because my nanny was crying and she was just saying, oh, he's the best, and she used to say I was the best kickboxer and said like mad karate things and oh, he's the best karate fighter in the world. And that was just her. She was mad as a box of frogs even before she got sick.
It's a nanny thing, I think.
Yeah, I think that is a nanny thing. So yeah, that's good to have them moments. And a real proud moment for me was bringing up the European medal and showing her, and she was over the moon and delighted. And she wasn't in her wits at the time, but I remember when I showed her, she lit up, and yeah, it was surreal. Like, and I think back to the good days, and I think back to the bad ones as well. Like, when I'm having a hard day or I'm having a hard day's training, I remember why I do it. I don't just do it for myself. I do it for everyone. And I really want to dedicate this World Championships to my nanny. And I want to be able to bring the world gold medal up to the grave and take a picture with the 2 Europeans and say I got both world and European for her. So that's what's in my head. But I know I can't let that distract me from just, again, taking that next step every day. And you're talking about an injury. I done my LCL, I think it's called, on the outside of the knee, grade 3 tear, in a freak accident in jiu-jitsu. Just the whole knee popped in a weird position, and I had a fight booked. Took the fight. It was a week and a half or 2 weeks later after it happened. So I went in. Subconsciously in my mind, I was beaten. Yeah, I can sit back now and say subconsciously I was beaten, but at the moment I was arrogant, and everyone told me not to take the fight and not to do it, but I didn't want to let your man down who I was fighting, because he was a great fighter and I wanted to go in and give it me all. Ultimately I ended up losing. You can see in the fight in between rounds I'm actually holding the knee in the corner, and I remember Richie Smullen saying, don't think about the knee, you're alright, you'll be grand. And I remember thinking, man, I can't even bleed and stand, because I went out, we were on the cage wrestling, and the knee went again. I knew it was going to happen because I didn't wear a strap because I didn't want them to kick it. Yeah. Ended up losing the fight. Another setback. That was my only fight this year, like, so it was a tough one to take. Kind of took a few days to really settle in. That one did. Right after, I was kind of like, I don't like to lose. No one likes to lose, but I'm not too bothered. And then I remember it hit me like a ton of bricks a few days later, and the whole thing came back about my nanny, because it was I only fought in the June. Yeah. After her passing away a month or two ago, and yeah, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And then the injury kept me out of the gym, which was killing me, because I hate being out of the gym over something like that. And I went back to the gym that bit earlier. I was doing everything right, and then same thing popped again. Knee went again. Now, thank God, I done everything right. I took the time I had to take. I just had to go back working full time and being a bit
patient.
Yeah, patient and a bit angry sometimes, because I couldn't train. I was working full time and I knew what I was missing out on, and I'd see good things in the gym. But that is what it is. It's another chapter in the book, and it's there for a reason.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Hopefully I can look back one day and have my own book, or have a few books. I'd love to do something like that. Be like you lads, have your own book. I'd love to look back and say, like, that's just another little small story, and persistence kept me going, and still here to the day. Didn't get out, didn't bitch and moan about the knee and say, I can never fight again, don't want to hurt my knee at this young of an age. I just got up and got over it. That was it.
That's beautiful. I hope I see that picture as well of you at the grave.
Yeah, please God, look forward to it, yeah.
Be sharing it everywhere.
Just do everything right now, and the good will come. That's what I feel. Just do everything right, and
definitely
day in, day out, session by session, step by step, and we'll go from there. Short-term goals. So short-term goal now, win the Worlds. Another even short-term goal will wake up tomorrow and go to the gym. And then that short-term goal after that will go to training again that night. And that's all I have to worry about. Short-term goals lead to big goals.
Brick by brick.
Yeah, brick by brick. Definitely. That's how it's built.
Definitely, man.
Talk to us a little bit about, obviously, after the IMMAFs coming up in
6 weeks time.
6 weeks time.
6 weeks, the 20th of November to the 25th. It's a 5-day competition.
Right, over in Albania.
Tirana, Albania. It's going to be a mad spot. All I've ever heard about Albania has been a gangster country, so so I'm a bit scared, but I'm looking forward to it, yeah. Looking forward to testing my skills again. This one's a strawweight, so the weight I feel like where I belong. I feel like I'm a strawweight, and I feel like I'm the best in the world at strawweight, so I look forward to going out and proving it. And a full division, 32 I think there'll be in. I think it's nearly full already, so that's 5 fights across 5 days. Weigh in that every morning. So you weigh
so you
in.
keep your weight at strawweight throughout as well.
That's the struggle, keeping the weight. Hoping to start with a nutritionist now, Yannick McGee, who's known world or countrywide now for being one of the best nutritionists. So I'm hoping to get him on board and we'll work together to keep my weight and maintain it and be strong, keep my power. And yeah, just again, I'm gonna be like a robot that week. No, but like no phone, no stupid. I'm gonna get someone to run my socials so I don't cut corners at all. I'm gonna weigh in at 6 a.m, and cause I'm the lightest weight, but I'm a senior, so I might be on that bit later, but I'll probably be fighting at about 12 o'clock.
Yeah, one of the first
1 o'clock. I'll be one of the first ones. So I'll be weigh in, go eat my oats, have a little nap, probably wake up, have a little bit of something to eat, shake out, go to get my hands wrapped, warm up, fight. After the fight, come back, have a nap, eat, sweat, sleep, wake up again, have another little bit of a sweat, weigh in again at 6 o'clock. I'm going to do that for 5 days, and I'm only going to be happy with my performances or say, yeah, that was a good fight on the Sunday when I'm flying home to Ireland with a gold medal, and I get to say, they were actually good fights. Or that was a hard fight, he caught me there, so on, because not everything's rosy. But yeah, just going to have to be like a robot 5 days on.
And talk to us about the lead up into that. How important is sponsorship? How important is getting people or companies on board to help fund it?
Yeah, as I said earlier, MMA is not funded in Ireland whatsoever, down to the tracksuit you wear on your back you have to pay for. So like what a lot of amateur MMA fighters do, we obviously all work part-time to provide for ourselves. We're not looking for a wage. We're not looking for...
Not for spice bags.
No, it's not for spice bags, unfortunately. No spice bags until after. We're just looking for any company to come on board, really. Well, personally, I'm looking for any company to come on board who can... It's not always about the financial. If you can benefit me in some way, whether that be supplements, training, such and such,
physio, all that
physio, whatever. But mostly, like, people will go with financial because that's what gets you there. So to pay for flights, registration, if any company is interested, it's hugely appreciated and goes a long, long way to getting us there. And I like to go that extra mile with all my sponsors and make them feel like they're really getting something out of it. So like I go all out with the tracksuits, get their logos everywhere, share it as much as I can, nearly be like a pet, like really annoying on Facebook and Instagram, and just pushing people, because I feel like they deserve all the credit because they're the ones that get you there. You do the work, but they financially get you there, because I know personally myself, I couldn't afford to get there and compete and train at the same time and so. So if anyone's interested, or if something that you would be willing to even talk about, I'm always free, down for a call, a chat, Instagram, email, anything. I am willing to talk, and as I said, it's greatly appreciated if anyone is willing to do or help and be a part of the team.
Absolutely, man. Look, we'll share all your links and stuff like that as well. Hopefully out there people will be willing to get on board. But for me and Lee, obviously we're big about exactly what you were doing. Do you know, like going after your goals, going after your dreams. The whole purpose of the book was to empower people to do exactly what you were doing. So like, go after stuff, even though it might be against the grain or it's not what everyone else is doing, or there's days when it's shit and it's the last thing you want to do. It's like pulling yourself up and going again. So on your behalf, we want to sponsor you with £100. Throw that into the pot. I'm not sure how far it will take you, but
as I
said, get something
everything
going.
helps, and it really does help. Like anything helps, and I really appreciate it. Like, it goes a long way. And as I said, I don't feel like a lot of people see how far it goes and how much that means. Like, that might mean 2 days I don't have to work the extra 2 days to pay for such and such, to pay for my flights, or pay for a train ticket from this town in Albania to get to the next one, to where the competition is on. So it's greatly appreciated, and I really, really appreciate it. And it will go a long way. So you'll be used to your two mugs will be on the top somewhere that I'm wearing.
It might not be the best. But it's a pleasure to do something like that, man. And not only because you're from Clondalkin, but at the end of the day, you're a young lad chasing a dream. And if there's anything we can do to help you out, we're more than happy. We'll share your links, try to promote you as much as we can, and obviously we're more than happy to make the donation.
Perfect, lads. And hopefully, like, I appreciate what you're doing with the podcast as well. Hopefully this will push other people to go from listening to people's stories who've gone and done it. Like, I'm just a normal young fella from the area, from Patriotic, from Clondalkin, just out and doing it. Anybody can do it. Like, it doesn't take a special character or a special individual. Like, I wasn't born this way. I trained myself to be this way. And I think what yous are doing, especially promoting it, getting people to listen, it will help and hopefully inspire not only the youth, but people your age, my age, older, to go and do something great, or go and do something that they needed that little push to do, like join a gym. As simple as that, as join a gym. Yeah. Go out and be active, because there's nothing bad being active can do for you. And so yous are doing great as well by promoting it and having a platform for people to come on and speak. And I really look forward to listening to them all, everyone that you have on. Because the Kenny Egan one was a great listen as well. Some funny stories in there too.
He does. He's a character.
Good man.
We have a closing tradition. Obviously, you were privy to it earlier on with leaving a question. So what we're going to ask you to do before we wrap up is ask a question.
Yeah.
And we're going to ask that then to the next guest on the start of the next episode for them to answer. So what question
was?
Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
Where do I see myself in 5 years?
So you answer that at the start. We want you now to leave a question for the next guest that we'll ask them. Anything at all, doesn't have to be.
He said the Mark Hoy. He's really went good getting him on the first episode, lads. Does your short-term goal lead to your long-term goal?
Okay.
That's a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
It's easy to
and I feel like it should. It always should.
Absolutely.
It has to be aligned.
It has to benefit your long-term goal in some aspect, whether it's 1% or 10%. Yeah. I feel like your short-term goals, and if you don't have short-term goals, get them. Because there's no point in saying in 10 years time I'm going to be the best, but tomorrow morning wake up and say, I'll do it tomorrow.
See what happens.
Yeah. Mate, if your short-term goal, like I said, is getting out of bed tomorrow morning, do it. That's your short-term goal, and that's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're still doing it. The goal's ticked off and on to the next, and it'll benefit you for your long-term goal, whatever that may be. So that's my question.
Deadly. Little two-parter. So what's the long-term goal or short-term goal? Does it lead to the long-term goal? And if they don't have one, get one.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Make them get one.
Yeah. What happens? What did John say? The sun still rises?
The sun still rises every morning, yeah. Exactly.
Beautiful.
I love it. Kian, thank you very much for your time, mate.
No problem, lads. Really appreciate it.
Best of luck with everything.
Yeah, we're wishing you. You've got two twins in your corner. Backing up all the way now.
Deadly. I appreciate you for having me on, lads. Anyway, there was mad out sitting in here, like the first time being official. I feel real important sitting here. Just don't get me out of the chair.
Yeah, you do that. Fair play, mate. All the best. We'll chat.
All right, thanks very much.